Hi, everyone. This is FA. Thank you so much for joining us for this welcome webinar. My role at the foundation is the program manager, and I oversee the recruitment and intakes onboarding for all our mentors and mentees on our program. Um, but just again, thank you so much for joining us for this webinar. We're really excited to have all you mentors and mentees on our new November 2019 intake. Before I kick off the actual webinar, I just want to double check that you can all hear me. Um, so to the left of your screen, you should see like some smiley faces and thumbs ups. So if you can kind of click on that button to kind of let me know you can kind of hear my audio, that would be much appreciated. As well, you can also write in the chat box. I'm seeing lots of thumbs up, loving it. Thank you so much. Amazing. Great to know that we are starting off without no technical hitches. Um, but just in case anyone does drop out of the call, um, you can actually just restart, close the browser, and you can refresh. And hopefully, if you reuse your link, it can kind of get you back onto this webinar. However, if you do continue having any kind of connection issues with this particular webinar, not to worry, as we are recording it, and we do plan to populate this to you all after we finished. Additionally, we do have another webinar taking place later today at 5 p.m. UK time. So if for whatever reason you can't complete this live webinar, feel free to join that one later today. Great. So I'm just going to go kick off and not spend too much time talking about myself too much, just because I'm aware that, so I'm just reading the messages. Okay, all good. But yes, I'm just going to kick off now, just because I'm aware we only have an hour and there's quite a bit of content to get through. And additionally, there is a Q&A towards the end that I think will be really useful. And I obviously want to give you as much time to answer any kind of questions and obviously do my best to answer those questions for you. Amazing. Great. So as I mentioned, this webinar is going to take about an hour. And here is our quick agenda just to kind of run through what we'll be talking about. So firstly, congratulations and a welcome from me, myself, and the rest of the foundation. Just in case you missed it, my name is FA and I'm the program manager on the mentoring program. And I kind of oversee the onboarding and recruitment of all of our mentors and mentees. The second kind of phase of this webinar will be an introduction to the mentoring program, a little bit about who we are at the foundation, what mentoring looks like, as well as the kind of phases of your mentoring relationship. We'll also be offering a few mentoring tips to kind of get you started, as well as kind of offering you an insight into the resources available to you to kind of supplement the mentoring one-on-one relationships that you will be having together. Lastly, or just to kind of wrap up, we'll be talking a little bit about the support that we'll be providing, i.e. the kind of relationship support team that we have here at the foundation who are on hand to support you and your mentoring partner throughout the next 12 months. And additionally, just to kind of run through the next steps, just to kind of give you a clear idea of what's upcoming. And then, as I mentioned before, we do have a Q&A at the end, so roughly about 15 minutes. So I do encourage you to kind of ask any kind of questions through the webinar. As you can see, there is a little chat box and I will be keeping an eye on that. So I'll do my best to answer any questions that you do share towards the end of the Q&A. So please do write any questions. Will do. I will slow down as well. Sorry about that. But yes, as I just mentioned, if you have any questions throughout this webinar, please do make a note in the chat box and I will do my best to address them towards the end. I hope that's all okay. Great. So the Cherie Blair Foundation for Women was launched in 2008 and supports women entrepreneurs in low and middle income countries around the world. The mentoring was born our mentoring program was born from the belief that the power of mentoring and a passion for technology and a view that community is a powerful force for change. By forging these elements together, we found a really pioneering way to support women entrepreneurs from around the world. In 2010, we kicked off our pilot program, and then in 2011, we officially launched our program. So, as you all should be aware, in this program, we match women entrepreneurs from low and middle income countries with men and women mentors from around the world. And they work together to support each other one on one to help the mentee build her business, confidence, and skills. Our mentors and mentees are able to meet via online communication tools like Skype or Google Hangouts. Um, the aim of their relationship is to kind of work on objectives that revolve around the mentee's business and professional development needs, as well as the mentor's own learning objectives. In addition to allowing us to connect mentees and mentors from around the world, the online nature of the program also provides great flexibility for our busy mentees and mentors. You're able to kind of schedule meetings around work and family commitments and meet right from your desk or on the go. Research shows that online mentoring makes it possible for those who might otherwise be excluded due to their gender or geographical location to participate in mentoring relationships. The women we work with are pioneering, driven change makers and have created businesses in every sector imaginable, including hospitality, electronics, retail, education, health, renewable energy, textiles, agriculture, you name it. We probably have a mentee who's probably running a business doing it. So some of our women are either very early on in their business stage, whilst others have been working on their businesses for years. In a similar way, our mentors are experienced professionals from many different business backgrounds who have immense experience and knowledge to share. They also come from over 80 different countries. So how does our program work? So what we consider the heart of our program is our one-to-one mentoring relationships. To kind of support the outcome of that mentoring relationship, we do provide training and close support to help track, to enable our pairs to build mutually beneficial mentoring relationships. Our mentoring pairs are expected to meet at least 2 hours per month for 1 year to work on an action plan tailored to the mentee's needs and the mentor's interest and expertise is there to kind of support that. As I mentioned, mentors and mentees can meet using a range of different online video platform tools such as Google Hangouts, Skype, Viber, Facebook Messenger, Zoom, or WebEx. To supplement the kind of online one-on-one mentoring relationship, we also have developed a bespoke online platform that houses a vast range of resources and opportunities that are readily available to all our mentors or mentees. Through this platform, our women entrepreneurs, as well as our mentors, are able to kind of share any challenges, experiences, and encouragement and advice. Our approach to mentoring. So on our program, as I've kind of mentioned, we work with a vast range of women entrepreneurs and mentors to come from over 100 different countries. And both of those groups obviously join our program with different expectations of how they view this mentoring relationship will work. So to ensure that our mentors and mentees join our program with the same expectations, we do spend a lot of time on our training to define what we understand as the mentee's role and the mentor's role in the relationship. Here at the Foundation, we see mentoring as a supportive and inspirational relationship based on trust and mutual respect, where benefits extend to both the mentor and the mentee. The mentor's role is to help the mentee become what she aspires to be and realize her potential. Our concept of mentoring, as I mentioned, is a two-way process where learning is a key outcome for both our mentors and mentees. To enable that, we encourage our mentors and mentees to spend the first part of their mentoring relationship, what we consider the kind of planning phase, to redefine what the priorities of the mentoring relationship will be. So they should be able to set out short-term and long-term objectives that relate not just to the mentee's business and professional needs, but as well as the mentor's learning objectives. Um, just to kind of go over kind of what you've already probably have seen in your training, a mentor's role in this relationship is to act as a sounding board and a thought partner. They're there to offer support, listen, ask probing questions, and push the mentee to think in a new way, and come to her own solutions. Our mentors are there to encourage their mentees to kind of help her stay accountable and be proactive, and support her in taking ownership of her career and business goals. Mentors are there to challenge and guide their mentee. However, they're not there to tell them what to do or complete any kind of work for them. Um, Saying that, our mentors are there to offer their own insights and expertise, but the decisions and the work are the responsibility of the mentee. The mentor will also be there to kind of help, obviously, build the mentee's confidence and skills so that she can find her own solutions. We encourage our mentors and mentees to check in with each other regularly, to talk about how things are going and to celebrate any success, as well as use those opportunities to talk about any challenges or issues. Um, Mentors are there to encourage their mentees with positive feedback and reinforcement, and mentees are also using these opportunities to show appreciation to the mentor for the time and input that they're providing. Keep in mind that the skills and topic matches. How we match you. So in the email that we sent out when you were originally introduced to your mentee or mentor last Friday, you would have found a link to a document which kind of gave an overview of how we find matches, or how we find or pair mentees with their mentors. Um, so just to kind of reiterate that information, to find the best match, we use a bespoke algorithm which draws upon the information provided in your applications to identify a potential match for you. Um, Alongside using this algorithm that we developed, our team of matching experts also take time to review each and every potential match to identify the most suitable relationship. This is what we kind of consider the personal touch aspect to the matching process, as we really do want to kind of get mentees and mentors off to the best possible start. To kind of delve into that a little bit more, we spend a lot of time getting to know you through your priorities that you've set out in your applications and what you've kind of put down as what you kind of hope to achieve in your mentoring relationship. When mentees join the program, um, in their application, they outline what are the kind of key topics they want to focus on with their mentor, um, and these could either relate to their own businesses as well as their own kind of professional development needs. When a mentor joins a program in their application, they outline the topics that they'll be comfortable discussing with their mentee, as well as the kind of expertise and skills and interests that they're happy to share. We use all this information to kind of match mentors and mentees together and focus on aligning topics, i.e., the areas that mentees need support in, with the skills and expertise a mentor has put down as areas that they are comfortable sharing. We also take into account factors such as preference for time zone, country, and business stage. We find that when we match mentors and mentees based on a mentee's needs and a mentor's expertise, is more preferable over matching them over sector. A mentor who runs a chocolate shop might be best supported by a mentor, for example, who has expertise in HR, as she might know a lot about chocolate, but needs to work on her people management processes in order to grow her business. A mentor who has years of HR expertise will be ready to support her as she does that. Keep in mind that the skills and topic matches are only meant as a starting point for discussion. It is up to both the mentor and the mentee to kind of dig into those priorities, and roadblocks and needs and learning objectives to define a plan that is most suitable for the mentoring relationship as they move forward. So I'm just going to pause and just say, if you have any questions on anything I've discussed up until this point, please do share those in the chat box. As I mentioned, I am keeping an eye on that, and I will do my best to address those questions when we get to the Q&A towards the end of this webinar. So the next part of this webinar is going to focus on the life cycle of your mentoring relationship. So as you can see on the slide, we have 5 stages, or what we call phases of the mentoring relationship. The first is building a relationship before the second phase kind of starts, which is kind of setting direction of your mentoring relationship before you move on to the third phase of your mentoring relationship, which is progressing. And then you move on to phase 4, wrapping up. And then finally, phase 5, moving on, which is when your mentoring relationship comes to a natural end. So building rapport, which we consider phase 1 of your mentoring relationship. This phase focuses on how you and your mentor are going to work together. Both you and your mentor are encouraged to spend time during this phase, getting to know each other, establishing trust, agreeing on ground rules for your relationship. What do we mean by rapport? When we offer or when we suggest building rapport, what we mean is rapport in itself is a relaxed way for people to feel safe in having open and trusting conversations. We consider this an important factor to establish trust at the beginning of the mentoring relationship to reinforce that feeling at every meeting that you have with your mentor or mentee. You know, when you have rapport, when you feel comfortable sharing, when you share the same basic values, you are relaxed together and you don't feel you have to be careful about what you say. Month 2 is setting direction, which is when you kind of move into phase 2 of your mentoring relationship. The focus of this phase is what do you want to achieve and become. Working with your mentor, we encourage our mentees to really clarify what business and professional development needs and define what success will look like for you as a pair. By setting objectives early on in your relationship, you create a useful backdrop that you can refer to throughout your mentoring relationship. Planning is a really key part of mentoring, and we want you both the mentor and the mentee, to kind of keep in mind that successful mentoring relationships are basically like an iceberg. 10% of the benefit is specific and planned for. The rest emerges as you work together. Much of the benefit may happen years later, but at the same time, it's really crucial that you discuss and agree your objectives together. It's important that you discuss what success will look like for you as a pair and agree on how you'll work together. We suggest that we use this time to set an action plan as a rough guide to kind of define what your year going forward will look like on the program. This will give you a good sense of direction of travel, as well as giving you opportunities to obviously amend and edit together as you go. After you've invested time getting to know each other during phase 1 and setting the ground rules in phase 2, you really want to kind of you really want to spend time setting the direction of your mentoring relationship. To kind of do this, it all kind of starts with asking each other really probing questions to kind of dig into kind of what you want to work together. It's really important to kind of clarify what you both want to get out of the mentoring relationship, defining what success will look like, discussing the priorities the mentee has for her business, her personal development needs, as well as using this opportunity to kind of really define and set out what learning objectives for the mentor will be as well. So then we move into progression, which takes the bulk of time of your mentoring relationship. So from month 3 to 11, you, the mentee, and their mentor will be working on objectives and an action plan. To kind of give you an overview, this phase kind of focuses on working on the objectives and action plans that you've set out. Um, During this time, this is kind of when you'll be checking in with each other regularly to ensure you're on track and to kind of check in on the short term and long term objectives that you have established together. I want to use the opportunity to say that yes, it's important to obviously set these objectives, to kind of set the objectives in this setting the direction phase. However, we do kind of feel like will be fluid in your mentoring relationship. So keep an eye. So obviously, when you guys are meeting up month to month, having discussions, checking in on your short term and long term objectives, it is okay to be flexible about it, to amend things to kind of fit where you are and where you need to be. We do encourage our mentees to take the lead in kind of setting the direction of the meetings that they have with their mentors, which includes kind of setting out the priorities and the expectations and providing an agenda to ensure that you are getting the most of your meetings together and that things are staying on track. Um, we will obviously say that obviously we are aware that things can obviously change and circumstances can mean that there could be some challenges that might not have foreseen when you are setting out your original objectives. But this, I feel like, is still a great opportunity for mentees to kind of work with their mentors to kind of review if objectives aren't reached, why is that? To kind of pick apart kind of ways in which you can kind of get back on track. Um, it is the mentor's role to kind of help the mentee recover from any kind of setbacks and help build resilience during this time when you're working towards your action plan and the objectives that you've set out together. Finally, towards the end, towards the end of your mentoring relationship, we call this the kind of winding down and moving on phase, which is where the mentee and the mentor look back on what they've learned over the last 12 months. It's really key for them to kind of review the learning outcomes of the relationship and look at what they've achieved, as well as things that they may not have been able to achieve, and using that to kind of plan ahead for the future. So we spent a lot of time kind of going through the different phases, but I thought it'd be really helpful to kind of discuss kind of what we consider kind of core mentoring skills to ensure that when you're having your meetings together with your mentoring partner, you are able to kind of get the most from the opportunity and from that situation. So one of the core things that we've kind of touched on in earlier slides is that we believe in using really effective listening techniques, particularly for the mentor when working with their mentee. It's really important that what you say doesn't influence what the other person has to say. Um, the advice and insights and kind of conversations that you're having should just kind of help them talk to kind of encourage them to kind of share more about their challenges, their issues, and kind of steering the conversation or steering the direction of the conversation. Active listening also helps build empathy, as it kind of follows the mentee's agenda, kind of explores the issues in greater depth, and it also helps the mentee kind of focus and reflect as you are giving them the platform or the stage to really kind of talk about their own issues and challenges. Um, Another key thing that we encourage our mentors to do during their kind of conversations with their mentees is to ask probing and reflective questions. For example, we encourage our mentors to use open questions to ask for knowledge, opinions, or more information, i.e., starting a question with a what, a how, or a why. Only use closed, we encourage our mentors to only use closed questions to test your understanding with one word answers. For example, instead of saying, has this been going on a long time? Ask, how long has this been going on? Another kind of key thing we encourage our mentors to do is to summarize what they've heard and, again, show empathy. It's really important for our mentors to use the opportunities when they're speaking to their mentees to offer feedback as a way of reinstating or paraphrasing what you've heard in your own words, to confirm what you've heard and to confirm the understanding of both parties. Additionally, we do encourage our mentors to reflect and clarify. This helps bring out any kind of key points or words that you've heard and encourages the speaker to go on and tell you more about a certain topic or certain area. So we do encourage you to kind of, reflect, clarify, and probe with the right kind of questions, i.e. kind of tell me more about it. I heard you saying insert topic. What do you think that is? Additionally, kind of like moving on to kind of more tips for mentors. On the slides, you can kind of see we've listed down some key things, kind of building on the previous slide that we discussed on active listening, being able to create a safe space for sharing and reflection. We encourage our mentors to listen attentively, to encourage and brainstorm with their mentee, as well as we mentioned earlier, it is your role to kind of challenge the way your mentees think, to encourage them to open their thoughts to new ideas and new ways of thinking. Again, we do encourage probing questions and active listening techniques, as we just earlier discussed. And it will also be your role to help your mentee set objectives. As we mentioned, is a mentee should come to your relationship or come into these relationships with set priorities to kind of move forward. But it is a mentor's role to kind of help mold that into kind of key short-term or long-term objectives and help your mentee stay accountable as she works on them. As a mentor, it's your role to kind of help your mentee to prioritize and think through things to kind of help them stay focused in your meeting as well as in their own work. Another obviously key thing as you kind of work with your mentee is to help build confidence, so that she can kind of make her own decisions and come up with her own solutions. It's also important, obviously, for mentors to obviously share your own learning objectives to ensure that the relationship is balanced and that is a two-way learning opportunity that isn't solely focused on the mentee, but also having a mentor's or providing the mentor the opportunity to develop as well. We encourage your mentee. We encourage you to encourage your mentee to kind of set the pace of learning. One thing we do obviously touch on in all the training that we provide and in the kind of conversations that we've had with mentees prior to starting the program is that it is their responsibility to kind of set the agenda and set the tone of the mentoring relationship. But we do encourage our mentors to kind of give encouragement to mentees to ensure that they do stay focused and that they are still able to kind of set the agenda for the relationship. We do encourage, as well as obviously 2 hours each month, that we do encourage our mentors and mentees to stay in contact. We do encourage our pairs to kind of stay in contact outside of that, even if it's a quick email, just check how things are progressing. And as I mentioned, just keeping an eye on the objectives that you've set out at the beginning of your relationship and filling them and making sure you are able to amend it, if need be, if things change. Helpful tips for mentees. Um, to get the most out of your mentoring relationship with your mentor, we do encourage our mentees to share as much information as they can with the mentor. Um, our mentors are obviously there to listen and to hear what you have to say. They want to know if things are going well, and they also want to know if things are challenging, so they can obviously provide you the best support. To get the most out of your mentoring relationship, it's really important for you to be honest and open with your mentor. Um, so as I said, share the warts and all with them. They have the information and they can better support you once they have a full context of your situation, and it will definitely build your relationship strength as you move forward. Another thing to kind of keep in mind as you enter into your mentoring relationship is to kind of be ready to experiment, reflect, and be open to new perspectives and be open to challenge. Um, we do want to emphasize that your mentor's role um, is not isn't to tell you what to do or do any work for you. Your mentoring meetings are a chance for reflection and clarity, um, and for them to provide you with a sounding board to any ideas and concerns you may have. Um, we do want to reiterate that at the start of your relationship, it's really important to devote some time getting to know each other. So we don't um, want you to just jump straight into business. I think it's really important to spend a bit of time just to kind of learn a little bit about each other, kind of be your cultures, who you are, kind of how you've got to where you are now before you kind of kick off or you start setting out the objectives to kind of develop your business or your personal needs. Additionally, as we kind of touched on before, it's really important to spend time planning, using the time that you have with your mentor to really discuss your short and long-term objectives together, to kind of plan out your year, um, and work with your mentor to sketch out an action plan for your relationship. And most importantly, once you've kind of set out your plan, you set out your objectives, it's incredibly important to also factor in time to implement what you say. Um, when it comes to meetings, we encourage you to schedule those things in advance and to let your mentor know if you are unable to attend a meeting. Um, as we mentioned before, and as you should be aware, it is the mentee's responsibility to kind of set the agenda, to schedule these meetings with their mentor. So if you aren't able to make it, please do let them know. Additionally, we are aware that it can be quite nervous for the first time setting the agenda or meeting with your mentor. But as we kind of just said before, or just as I've said earlier, your mentor is literally there to kind of hear from you and will be there to encourage you and can support you in taking more of a leadership in your role in the mentoring relationship. As I kind of mentioned with the mentors, it's also very important for the mentees to kind of keep the mentor informed of any progress, be it small or big, sending an email just to kind of let them know how things are going, WhatsApp or whatnot, or whatever kind of means of communication you find easiest to kind of work together. But yes, it's very important that outside of the 2 hours that you have your kind of video chats each month, it's really important that you are able to kind of keep your mentor informed of how things are going, the other means of communication. And just lastly, to kind of wrap up as a tip, it's really important, or we consider it really important, to kind of obviously celebrate your successes along the way, big or small, be it gaining a new client, using a technique that you've kind of worked on with your mentor in potentially a negotiation, noticing a difference in your confidence when you're speaking to staff or working with external stakeholders. Um, we do encourage that you take the time to kind of celebrate these kind of these milestones with your mentor along the way of your 12-month relationship. Great. So as I mentioned earlier on in the webinar, alongside the one-to-one mentoring relationship, as which we can kind of see, which we consider the kind of heart of our program, we do obviously provide additional resources to kind of support our mentors and mentees, to ensure they are able to kind of get the most out of the 12 months that they're working together. And one of those things is our global community and our global platform that we created. On this platform, we have over 7,000 mentees and mentors who've been a part of the program since 2010. As we mentioned, we have mentees from over 100 countries and mentors from over 80 plus countries, and they're all connected on our global community platform. And you can kind of see a link to this here on the slide. As I mentioned, we'll be sending out this information later. So you will have this information just in case you haven't had a chance to access the platform yet. So just kind of give you a little run through of what's available. If you log onto our platform, you'll find that you have your own profile as well as a range of different tabs that will lead you to a range of different type of resources. For example, we have a resources library where you find a variety of templates and documents and links on business, as well as leadership, mentoring, as well on financial literacy topics. We are always regularly adding new resources to this library, and we also encourage our network of mentors and mentees to kind of share any resources that they think will be useful so that we can help populate that through onto our library. We also have a global forum board where the opportunities to learn and exchange are endless. There are lots of ways to engage, and you can tailor your learning path to your key needs and focus areas. If you have any questions on how, let us know and we can help you. So as I mentioned, we have a really great forum, which you'll have access to, where you can post topics that you want to share with our network. On our forum board, we also have a group of mentors who are available, or kind of subject-focused mentors who are there to share advice on a range of different topics from strategy, HR, and so forth. So if you get involved in one of our group forum groups, we do endeavour to respond back to any kind of queries that you share. And it's a really great way to kind of connect with our kind of wider network of mentors and mentees to kind of add additional value to your mentoring experience. Your profile. So as I mentioned, when you log onto the platform, you do have your own unique profile, which you can kind of amend and edit to kind of fit your needs. So not only can you post a picture of yourself so people can know who you look like, you're able to kind of list, you can also view your application. So for mentees, this is really useful if you want to kind of revisit the kind of priorities that you set out to kind of share with your mentor. It's also a great way, as you can see, you can also see reminders on forms and evaluations that you might need to fill out throughout the year as well. So you're able to kind of get most out of the forum. You can kind of amend and edit your profile and particularly your email settings to ensure that you are getting notification on topics that you have a key interest in. So at the moment, we have a range of different topics on the forum, from legal, fundraising, finance, business planning, and so forth. Obviously, we're aware that not everyone has a key focus in all those areas. So to ensure that your inbox doesn't get bombarded with too many topics or too many kind of notifications from our forum, we do encourage you to spend a little time to edit your profile and kind of selecting the kind of right kind of email subscriptions you feel is most relevant to you and your needs. And you can do this when you edit your profile. And just to kind of run through a few kind of confidentiality things. When it comes to your mentoring relationship with your mentor, everything is strictly confidential. All the information and data additionally we share via the forum is also kept confidential. So we do kind of want you to kind of keep that in mind when you are sharing information on the forum, that it does kind of go out to our global community. So though it doesn't get populated outside of our forum, just be aware of anything that you do post on the forum that our wonderful community are able to see So yeah, we just want to make sure you are kept mindful of what you post. Additionally, please get in touch with our team before you mention your participation on our program publicly, via the press, via the blog, as we do have some comms guidelines. And usually when it comes to kind of publicly talking about our program, this is usually reserved for our graduates only. Additionally, more information about this can be found on our website, which you can find a link below. So when it comes to titles and recognition, our mentee's title on our program is a Cherie Blair Foundation mentee versus a mentor's title with the Cherie Blair Foundation mentor. As I mentioned, when it comes to kind of publicly talking about a program, these titles are reserved for mentors and mentees who can graduate from the program, who graduate from our program. To graduate from our program, our mentors and mentees need to meet at least 2 hours each month and fill out for performing tracking questionnaires, which are basically kind of evaluation forms that we send out at certain points throughout the 12 months to kind of check in and how mentees and mentors are progressing in the mentoring relationships. And lastly, towards the end of the relationship, we do ask all our mentors and mentees to complete a feedback form. Once that's been completed, we do consider mentors and mentees graduates of our program, and they do receive a certificate at the end. So as we mentioned before earlier on, when you join our program, we do have a dedicated team on hand to support the mentor and the mentee throughout the next 12 months. Our team value every mentee in our program and take care to kind of build their mentoring relationship. Our relationship support team provide personal, attentive support to all our mentees and mentors, and that aligns closely to our approach to mentoring. We understand that mentoring is new to some mentees and mentors, and we help coach them through their relationship and build mentoring abilities. We do keep in contact with all our mentees via calls and emails. And through those calls, we obviously are able to kind of share tips and teachings to kind of ensure that mentors and mentees are getting the most out of the mentoring relationship. We understand also that there is going to be cultural differences when it comes to mentoring pairs, which can sometimes impact individuals' approach to mentoring. So we do endeavor to kind of help our mentees and mentors to understand the program requirements, and are always happy to kind of touch base to kind of reset kind of ground rules for mentoring relationships. As you mentioned, we do take confidentiality very importantly, and so we never share any mentor information publicly without permission. Members of our team ensure that pairs are meeting regularly through our kind of regular check-ins, and we work closely to kind of support any kind of queries and information on sharing information that kind of comes through to best support our mentors and mentees. So as I mentioned, if you have any questions or any queries throughout your mentoring relationship, please don't hesitate to get in touch with this team. We're on hand to kind of support you to ensure you are able to kind of get the best or get the most out of your mentoring relationship. So just to kind of wrap up on a few kind of key things when it comes to kind of the benefits of the mentoring program. We found that when mentoring is structured the right way, it can be a really powerful tool for supporting women entrepreneurs as you look to build your confidence, skills, and businesses. A fruitful relationship can enable a woman entrepreneur to build their leadership abilities, confidence and self-belief, networks, and flexibility that are critical to your long-term visibility as an entrepreneur. So over the last couple of years, we're able to pull some key statistics from our women who participate on the program, and have seen that 96% of our mentees have built confidence. We've learned that 92% have been able to gain new business skills. as well as, for example, 77% of our mentees being able to kind of access new markets. So as you mentioned, it's a really great way for them to kind of upskill themselves as upskill others around them as well. Additionally, as we mentioned, it's not just the mentees that benefit from the program. We also know that mentors also are able to kind of benefit from participating on this mentoring program. And one key example is that we found that mentoring provides really useful opportunity for employees and professionals who serve as mentors to learn and gain new perspectives. And it really holds some really key value and potential for their development. So finally, next steps. So it's now been just over almost a week now that many of you have been introduced to your mentoring partner. So if you haven't had a chance to reach out to your mentor or mentee yet, please do. We will encourage you to spend the next couple of weeks spending time getting to know each other and setting up the kind of ground rules for your mentoring relationship, particularly deciding how you plan to meet regularly. One of the key things we would encourage you to discuss in your meetings is your communication tools. Are you kind of chatting about what will be the kind of main tool that you use to stay in communication with each other, as well as having a backup plan just in case, or backup platform, just in case your main platform of communication isn't working. It's also really important to use these next couple of weeks to kind of discuss a meeting schedule and see if it would be useful to add it in a calendar. We highly encourage you to kind of put it in a calendar just so you are aware, and it's always at the kind of forefront as a regular meeting in mind, that you kind of keep in mind. Additionally, we also want you to remember that to kind of graduate from this program, we do encourage our mentors and mentees to meet at least 2 hours each month in order to graduate. Saying that is the kind of bare minimum, but we do encourage our mentors and mentees to kind of meet or stay in communication outside of that. So as you've met, sorry, there's a little kind of glitch in, there's a little minor error in the slides. So you've been matched in November, you've been matched now in November, and your relationship will continue to November 2020. So it's really important at this stage to kind of discuss what you would like to achieve within that time. As it does sound like it is quite a long time, but it's kind of crazy how quickly a year can pass by. So it's really important to kind of chart out kind of what your objectives are and what success will look like for you as a pair. When it comes to emails, we do encourage our mentors and mentees to be quite prompt with their responses, to let each other know if you'll be away or if you need to reschedule any meetings. In the next 30 days, our mentees will receive the first performance tracking questionnaire, and we'll also be using that opportunity to kind of check in with all our mentors to kind of see how things are going. As I mentioned before, throughout the year, there will be evaluation forms that will need to be completed. And as I mentioned, these are just opportunities for us at the foundation to kind of check in, to know how things are progressing and how things are going, and to just know if there's any kind of additional support you need. And lastly, our team is here to support you. So if you need anything from us, please don't hesitate to get in touch. As I mentioned, our role is literally just to support you and your mentee to get the most out of this mentoring relationship. Oh, so thank you so much for listening to me. We now have a bit of time for any kind of questions anyone has. So I'm just going to quickly go through the chat box to kind of see if there are any questions that have come through. But if you have any questions for the time, if you have any questions, please let me know. So we received a question on how we plan to share the presentation. So yes, this presentation will be made available on our online platform. And if necessary, we can also send it out via email, just so you have it on for your reference. What happens if our mentor is not an attendee at this webinar? Will they join the second welcome webinar? So yes, as I mentioned, we are running a second webinar, so your mentor is more than welcome to join that webinar later today, UK time. But as we mentioned, we are also recording these webinars. So if your mentor isn't able to attend the live recording, we will be populating the recorded version via our forum as well as email if necessary, so they will have a chance to listen through, so they're not able to so they don't miss out on anything. Um, so I've got a question about the pairs are yet to be announced. So for all the mentors and mentees who were selected to be matched, they were introduced to each other last Friday, and they should have received an email. If you are a mentor on our program or a mentee on our program and haven't received and have got confirmation that you are due to be matched this intake but haven't received an email, I will encourage you to check your junk mail, as sometimes our emails can end up in there. But if not, I will encourage you to get in touch with our team and we can kind of follow up to ensure if you are missing out any information or your information on your mentee or mentor, that we can get that to you as soon as possible. How do we get onto the forum? To access the forum, there is a particular link, and then there is the Gmail ID that you created when you signed up as a mentor or mentee to join our program, which you use as your login details. Following this email or following this call, we do plan to share additional information on how you can access the forum, and we'll also include how to log in as well for those of you who might not or may have missed it earlier. Monica, I can see your messages in the private that you sent to me. I'm really sorry to kind of hear what happened, but we will definitely follow up with you directly after this webinar to kind of pick up that conversation. If your mentee, we've seen another question. What happens if a mentee does not contact the mentor? How long does the mentor wait before contacting the foundation about this? If you haven't received any kind of confirmation or emails from your mentee, I will give it a few days, and then get in contact with the foundation to let us know, as we'll be more than happy to kind of follow up with your mentee to kind of check in to make sure everything is okay. So at this stage, if you haven't heard from your mentee, I would encourage you to kind of get in touch with our team, and we will follow up with your mentee and see if we can get you both back on track. So we received another question. I haven't had the first call with my mentor yet because she's busy. And then I can see that she suggested another time, but this mentee doesn't seem to be available on that day. So what should we do if our mentor is busy like this? As we kind of mentioned, obviously, bearing in mind that mentors and mentees are all working or coming from different cultural backgrounds, and have arranged different responsibilities, and sometimes there can be a conflict when it comes to scheduling. But I think definitely just being patient about this. As you mentioned, it is a 12-month program. It's not necessary. It isn't necessary that you have to have your phone call the first week of being matched, there's a little bit of time to kind of find a time that's most suitable. If and so to answer that question, if you are if you found that the time that your mentor has suggested doesn't work, I would go back to your mentor and suggest other times, and see if you can kind of find a suitable time that works for you both. But if you are still having issues connecting with your mentor, I would encourage you to get in touch with our relationship support team, and we can see if we can support you in finding a time that will work best for you both. Does the library contain any kind of case studies? Are those case studies for mentees and mentors on the program? Because if that is what you mean, we do have case studies available on our actual Cherie Blair Foundation main website. You can find them on our impact wall, and we have a range of different case studies focusing on our mentors and mentees who participated on the program over the last couple of years. Okay. So yeah, I can see that it's still a few people who are kind of coming through with questions about not yet hearing back from their mentor. If you're still finding it difficult to reach out to your mentor, hearing back from your mentor, I would encourage you to get in touch with our team, or kind of copy us into like emails that you're sending to your mentor, just so that we're aware. So if you need us to help follow up, to kind of check in with your mentor, to kind of make sure they're still keen to kind of participate on the program, or just to kind of checking if there's any kind of challenges or issues that they're facing on their end, which is preventing them from reaching out, we can do so. So we do encourage you to kind of get in touch with our team if you're facing any kind of communication challenges with your mentor or mentee, so that we can kind of help follow up and to get you both back on track. And I can see some comments on people who've already had a chance to use the forum. That's absolutely great. We're really grateful that you found it really useful to your mentoring relationship and to your own kind of business and professional development. And yeah. And I can see we've already got some offers as well from people in the comment section to kind of providing content for our online platform, which is absolutely amazing. Following this webinar, we will be reaching out to kind of see how we can kind of work together. We do appreciate that type of help and support. And which is why we're incredibly grateful for the kind of global network of mentors and mentees that we have. So we're really keen to kind of build on that. I'm kind of conscious that it's now 10:30 and I don't want to kind of take up too much of your time. So just before I kind of wrap up, are there any other questions anyone has, any kind of burning questions anyone has to ask? But if you're still kind of stewing on a question, that's absolutely fine. As I said, we will be sharing a link to this webinar as well as slides later. Additionally, that will be a great opportunity to kind of get back to us if you have any kind of questions that you'd like us to answer, just to kind of keep us informed of any additional support that you need. But if not, I will take this as a wrap up. Goodbye. So thank you so much again for joining us for this webinar. I'm really grateful to have you all on board for this new intake. As I mentioned, if you have any questions or need any additional support, please don't hesitate to get in touch with our team. We look forward to kind of working with you over the next 12 months and kind of seeing how you and your mentoring partner progress during this mentoring relationship and mentoring program. So thank you so much. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, your evening. And yes, we'll be in touch again soon. Bye.